Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Welcome back all my lovely regular viewers, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. So this is going to be the first in my Valentine's series, and it's literally a heart overload. I think when I started doing this, I think I just got carried away. As usual, all the colours that I'm using are from Glitterbels, and the red one, the sparkle one that you see on the right hand side, is a new one. So two new things in this video today. The tips that I'm using are Glitterbels' new extreme coffin length tips, and I have to say they're amazing. They are super long. They have this lovely tapered coffin, and they have a really good C curve on them as well. So absolutely amazing, love them. And the other one is the cocktail sparkle, which is the glittery red that you see on the right hand side. So starting off on the ring finger, I'm going in with Plush cover, and this is going to be a full coverage, and then I'll do some nail art on top of it. As Plush cover is one of Glitterbels' core powders, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be building up my apex and making sure that the strength and the structure of the nail is there. So when you're doing the strength and structure of your nail, you want to make sure that you have enough acrylic in all the right places. So you want there to be enough on the free edge that they're not going to crack. You're going to want to make sure that you have enough in your apex area so that the length of your nail is supported if you were to knock it or to hit it. And then you also need to make sure that there's just enough around the cuticle area that it's not going to lift or come away. So sometimes a lot of new nail technicians, they make the mistake of maybe working a little bit too wet around the cuticle area, and whenever you work really wet with acrylic, sometimes the strength isn't in it because you've got more liquid rather than the powder, and it's the powder that gives you the strength. So you just need to make sure that you have the right ball size amounts for the length of your nail and for all the different zones of your nail. So you can see I'm going in with a cuticle bead. So it's a fairly large bead because it's quite a long nail, and I need to blend this up into the apex area, and I want to make sure that there is enough around that cuticle area that the nails aren't going to lift. So when you're placing your cuticle bead, you want to make sure that you press it right up towards that cuticle, but have your nail pointed downwards so that gravity will take that acrylic away from the cuticle area so it won't flood. And then you also want to use the tip of your brush just to guide it in place in around the sidewalls and the cuticle, and then once you've done all that, then just blend it in with the rest of the acrylic. So moving on now to the little finger, and I did go to this nail by mistake. I should have actually went to the middle finger. So I'm just going to place the first bead of acrylic on this little finger, and then I'm going to move straight on to the middle finger, and it's also going to be another full coverage of the Plush cover. So now onto the middle finger, and I'm going in with quite a large bead of that plush cover, because again this is going to be a full coverage of this colour on this nail. So when I can't even speak. So whenever I place the acrylic onto the nail, I press it and hold it for a couple of seconds. Then I'll wipe out my brush and go back to the bead of acrylic and use the belly of my brush to guide it down the nail. So after you've already wiped out your brush when you place the bead on, if you find that the acrylic is starting to maybe stick to your brush or it's not moving the way you want it to, just dip your brush back into the monomer ever so slightly and then just reintroduce your brush back to that acrylic, and that's going to keep it nice and supple for you and make it easier for you to move it down the nail. So that first bead of acrylic was starting to go a little bit thin by the time I got right down to the free edge. So I'm just putting a little bit more of that plush cover just on the free edge and then blending it up into the rest of that acrylic. Now in with the second bead of acrylic, and this is the apex bead, so this is going to be quite a large bead as well. Don't get yourselves too hung up though in, having to do the nails in 3 beads. There's sometimes I'm introducing, 4 beads, 5 beads, 10 beads. It really depends, what you're comfortable working with, the heat of your room, because if your room's quite warm, you're going to work in smaller beads because they're going to start to cure too quick. So don't worry if you do more than 3 beads. I do it all the time, but we always refer to the 3 different zones. So you've got your free edge, your apex and your cuticle area. So now I'm getting in with the cuticle bead. Again, I've placed it just before where that cuticle is, and now I'm pushing it up towards to the cuticle and the side walls. I'm making sure that I've got it tucked in and it's not flooding anything. I've got my nail pointed downwards, and now I'm blending it in with the rest of that acrylic. Back to the little finger now, and I'm going back in with this cocktail sparkle. So I haven't used this one before, and it's not as fluid as what some of the other coloured acrylics are from Glitterbels. So it does take you to have quite a wet bead of acrylic to work with this, but I think once you start to push it and pat it into place, it starts to react like more of the coloured acrylic, like more normally the coloured acrylic. It's a bit weird at the start, but the coverage of it is really, really nice. Okay, so moving on to the pointer finger, and this is going to be an ombre. So I'm going to go in with this cocktail sparkle. I I hope you can see the way it is. It kind of like breaks up ever so slightly. You really have to sort of work it until it all starts to come together. So it's a bit weird, this one. So I'm just going to place this on the bottom part of the nail. I'm going to feather it back up towards the cuticle, and then that's where the ombre will start. So now to do the ombre, I'm going to go in with a small bead of the Plush cover, and I'm just going to place it right over where I feathered that cocktail sparkle. So I'm just using the tips of my brush and I'm just patting it into place, and then ever so lightly, I'm using the tip of the brush just to spread the Plush cover down the nail. So on one part of it, it spread a little bit too far, so I just used my brush and blended it back up into the rest of the Plush cover. So this would be the first bead of your ombre. I always ask my clients, do they, especially if they're having like a French, ombre, I always ask them, do you want more of the white in your ombre or do you want more of the pink? And it would be the same with the colour. So I would ask my clients, do you want more of this reddy colour or do you want to have more of the pink? So now I've done that, I'm going back in now with some more of the Plush cover, and this is going to be, I think this one's the cuticle bead. It is. So because this is an ombre nail, even though the Plush cover is a core powder and you don't need to cap it, I am going to cap this nail because I want to protect the ombre. So I want to make sure that whenever I'm filing and buffing this nail, I'm not going to buff away the ombre. So I'm not building up my apex or anything with the Plush cover. I'll do that with the glass slippers. Onto the thumbnail now, and this one is just going to be a full coverage of the cocktail sparkle. Now that I've applied all the coloured acrylic, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to cap all the nails in glass slippers. Before I do that though, I'm just tweaking that ombre ever so slightly. I just wasn't fully happy with it, so I've just placed another little bead of the Plush cover, and then I'll go in with the glass slippers and protect it. So to save time on the video so that it's not too long for you guys, I only showed one of the nails being capped. And again, I'm only going to show one of the nails being filed because they're all filed in exactly the same way. So I always start off on the side walls. I make sure they're nice and straight. And what I'm doing now is going to the lower arch. So that runs right out from where the natural nail is. So you want to make sure that's nice and straight, and then I'll go to the free edge and I'll make sure that's nice and straight and the shape I want it. So I normally turn my file in this vertical position, and that gives me a really straight edge. So after I've done that, I'm changing over. I was using the Glitterbels metal file, but I find that to do the rest of the nail, it's just a little bit too rigid and you need a little bit more flexibility to go around the rest of the nail. So I'm just using a normal 180 grit file, and I'm just going around the cuticle area, making sure that there's no obvious lumps and bumps, and I'm always filing up towards that apex area to make sure that the height is kept there. So now all the filing and shaping's been done, it's now to start the love heart overload. So this is a little gel polish from Brillbird. It's one of their brush and goes. So it was the closest match that I could find to go with this cocktail sparkle. So I'm just going to do a series of little hearts running down the ring finger, one being, you know, the right way and the other one being upside down. So to do this, start the hearts off, I'm using a dotting tool and I'm just placing 2 dots, and then I'll go in with my Glitterbels detailer brush, join them up and create the heart shape. So now that I've got all the hearts on, whenever I looked at the nail, I just wasn't too happy with it. So if I ever make mistakes in the videos, I normally will try and keep them in for you guys. I just didn't like the look of the nails, so I've just removed it all and I'm just going to replace them. So I mean, I do like to leave the mistakes in, because at the end of the day, you know, we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And finally, I got all those hearts on the nail. So now I'm going in with that cocktail sparkle, and I'm going to do a sugared effect over the gel polish hearts just before I cure them. Moving on now to the middle finger and some more hearts if we haven't already saw enough. I thought I'd go in with some more. So I'm just going to be using a white gel paint that I've got from Mystic Nails. I use this a lot in my videos, and I'm also going to use the Brillbird one that I used on the ring finger. So I'm just going to let you watch this nail being done, and I'll come back at the end. onto the little finger now, and guess what? More hearts. So these are just, normally if I would maybe do glitter this way or maybe add some rhinestones, but I thought as I'm doing a Valentine's set, I'll go ahead and do my little sweet bee squiggly liney stuff in the hearts instead of glitter. So again, I'm using my little dotting tool to create the start of the heart, and then I'll go back in with my little detailer brush and do the bottom end of the heart. And before I go ahead and cure these little hearts, I'm going in with some of the loose glitter. It's the fine dust from Glitterbels, and I'm just going to sprinkle that over the hearts, and that will give me a lovely glittery sugar effect. So onto the pointer finger now, and I'm going in with Snowdrops White, and I'm using, this is an OPI brush that I'm using. It's their, I think it's their Golden Point acrylic brush. So I'm going to use it to do this little white flower, and then of course just to tie it in with the rest of the nails, I'll do some red acrylic hearts. So I'm starting out, I'm just putting all these petals, and I'll keep going and going until I reach the center of the flower. So every bead I pick up, it's nice and wet, so I then drain out all the liquid I can out of my brush before I place it on the nail. You want to wait until it starts to, give it a couple seconds when it's on the nail. Once it starts to maybe go a little bit mattifying, then, or a little bit matte, then you can start to push it and press it into the shape of the petal. Then just to finish this nail off, I'm going in with the red acrylic. This is Wifey from Glitterbels. And I'm just doing the hearts the same way that I did with the gel polish. So I'm placing 2 small beads of acrylic like I did with the dotting tool. And then I'll go in with the tip of the brush and blend them together to create the heart. So I haven't shown the thumb being done with any of the hearts, but whenever I do any sets, the little finger and the thumb are normally the same. And here is the finished set, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up. And for those that haven't subscribed, you could go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And I will be back with another video. So take care. See you soon. Bye.